but they're not coming to protest. They didn't come there. They didn't come there with glass bottles of urine to have a nice time and to not invoke violence. And these guys are getting stalked on the way to their cars. Okay,
well,
so
I mean, hold on. Don't kink shame. They could have been there with the jars of urine just for a good time. And then things took a turn. You don't know. That could have been just the day they had planned. It was just going to be a good old day of piss. It's time to go become Proud Boys. And become real proud.
To a friend of mine who said, I got hit up this morning. What's the Proud Boys, Tim? And I said, they're a Western chauvinist group. Are they racist? And I was like, there's been some people in, but I think the organization as a whole, what they stand for is absolutely not. Like their leader is a black Cuban guy. So I don't think that's, of course the media will say it. But anyway, the point is, for somebody to message me saying, I don't know what that means, right away I'm like, that part.
We already got some idpol out of the gates right away. And yeah, they can't be racist in any way, shape, or form because there's non-white people in the organization.
They're gonna be like, I don't know what a Proud Boy is. What is that? It's like an LGBT thing or something? No, for real. Because that was like one of the jokes the left was doing.
Yeah. Like
claiming, that like the Proud Boys, and they made like a rainbow website or whatever. So I think,
as if that's a bad thing.
Right.
They thought the Proud Boys would be offended by it.
Right.
And I'm
I
like,
thought it was great.
I don't think you know anything about these guys.
Yeah.
So there was a video that was going around.
Just made me think of old Gavin McInnes clips.
You know what they're going to do now? They're going to show the clip of Gavin McInnes kissing Milo.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe some of the things that guy would do on camera.
Man.
Right?
So look, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier who was like posting and talking about how Donald Trump is calling for his right-wing militias to come and get ready. And I was like, listen, the Proud Boys are a lot of things. White supremacist is not one of them. You can criticize them for a lot, but they're not white supremacists. That's ridiculous.
It does come from Gavin's inception, I think. I
Moon
see
Lord.
the Vic Berger, Rogan, Gavin McInnes clip that he did today, I think came out this morning.
What is it?
And it was, Rogan said, Gavin McInnes is mostly fun guy. And then Vic Berger was like, oh, glad he said that. And then all these clips of Gavin being like, you find someone, choke him. Grab him by the throat and choke him.
That's all fake.
Well, he was saying a lot.
Nope.
It was just clip after clip after
Some
clip
of those
Gavin.
clips are Gavin talking about dogs.
Oh, are you kidding?
Yes.
No, yeah.
Specifically,
No, you're not kidding.
one of the one of the clips. You know what?
dirty.
Fact check me on this one for sure. But apparently, because I don't watch Gavin's show. When he was talking about choking a bee, he was literally talking about pulling a choke chain on a dog that was disobeying you.
Okay.
So, look, dude, there are a lot of people that will take everything out of context, manipulate, cut it, and they just run with it, and it works. It works.
So that's a good point. Sorry, that's a good point, though. They take everything out of context. They run a clip. They're going to say whatever they want. So one of the
So that's just a little primer as to what Tim Pool believes about the Proud Boys. Let's take a trip. And a trip indeed.
We tried to find some of the harshest criticisms in a professional sense. So the ADL and the SPLC, because we're not here for softballs, and we're gonna, we'll call it like we see it. But I think it's important to actually hear from you, because I heard you were a white supremacist, and I couldn't help but notice that you're not white.
Oh, done. Well, interview over. By the way, this is the same Tim Pool who cannot platform anybody who doesn't arrive in his studio in person, including Sam Cedar. He needs Sam Cedar to be sitting directly beside him so he can cough directly in his face.
Well, I'm probably like really bad at my job at being a white supremacist. So, but thank you for having me on, Tim. And I really appreciate that you guys have me on when a lot of people don't want to have me on for some reason. I don't think I'm this giant controversial character that people are portraying us to be. I think.
Well, to give you some, I don't know what the right word is for it, but I'll say it this way. We've got a lot of stuff to go through, and like the criticisms. Like I literally just opened by saying I was critical of what you guys were going to do in Portland. I think ultimately everything turned out fine. There was no violence. But when Donald Trump was giving the debate, when he was in the debate with Joe Biden, and he was asked to disavow white supremacists and right-wing militias, it was Joe Biden who yelled out Proud Boys, and then Trump said, "Stand back and stand by," something like that.
Stand back, stand by.
Well, immediately following this, I saw a wave of journalists saying, "Do not interview the Proud Boys." And I thought to myself, why? Joe Biden called them out. This group, we need to understand what it is and why it should be condemned or told to either stand down or whatever Donald Trump was saying. Why
not learn? Why not do a little bit of research before you platform the leader of the Proud Boys? Before you put him on your show, you could learn a little bit, and then you'd know what the Proud Boys are.
Would journalists, even New York Times journalists, say don't interview individuals that were named in a presidential election debate?
Like, honestly, could you imagine if he's like, I don't really understand what this alt-right is, so I figured we had to get Richard Spencer on the show. Richard, pleasure for you to be here. I have a lot of questions, of course, a lot of things I want to ask you, but why don't I let you, in your own words, describe what you do, what you're about. We can spend about an hour. I've got about 60,000 live viewers right now, so you can tell them all about your beliefs, and then at which point we could probably hear a little bit more about your organization, where they can sign up, phone numbers, websites, all that kind of pertinent information. That sounds like a good show.
So naturally, we actually wanted to get you in sooner. It's been, I don't know, we just kind of do the show. I'm not here to scheduling is fast and loose or whatever. But immediately, I started having people ask me questions. Is it true that Donald Trump told white supremacists to get ready? That's what people were asking me. And I was like, that's not true. I mean, the Proud Boys are not white supremacists. I think you're wearing a shirt that says American supremacist
On purpose.
So and you're also not white.
No.
So
it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I do hate to bring it in this direction, but for those that are listening, do you want to describe your ethnic background so they understand?
So my parents came, my grandfather came from Cuba back right after the revolution, and they're definitely not white. I'm African and Cuban descent from both. Actually, some of my ancestors are indigenous to Cuba, and I don't think I have any white at all. I've never done one of those DNA tests. I've never wanted to spend money on it. I don't care, because to me, I've never cared about somebody's race or religion. It's not a thing for me. And the same thing for the Proud Boys. We don't, like, when you join a chapter or you try to join a chapter in the application.
This is really one of the reasons why they're constantly pushing back against things like critical race theory, because this is not how white supremacism works.
Process. We don't ask those questions. We don't ask you, oh, well, what's your religion? Like, it has like those little cards.
This is how idpol works. This is like, all they do is idpol. Just idpol. It's just identity politics, and that's it. And then it goes right back to the one MLK quote. Like, I don't understand why people refuse to judge me by the content of my character rather than the color of my skin. Isn't that what MLK was all about? Isn't that what he died preaching every single day? The only thing, the one sentence.
They show you how dark your skin is to see where you check off. We don't have that.
Those are real?
No, I don't know. I saw that in like
That's
one of
a
those
Family Guy
memes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so let me ask you, man. What are the Proud Boys?
Okay.
It started as a joke on Gavin's show, and
Gavin McInnes.
Gavin McInnes' show.
Founder of Vice. Co-founder.
Co-founder of Vice, which I give him crap for that all the time. But we started as a joke on Gavin's show.
I give him crap for that. Not all the racist stuff. Not all that racist stuff. No, that's okay. Those are jokes for the lulz. But yeah, being a co-founder of Vice, that's crap.
And it really started to blow up after the J20 riots, the inauguration day riots, because we dared to fight back. Conservatives weren't fighting back. Antifa was basically burning down the city on J20.
Killing us in the streets.
Trump protesters throughout the entire election. We saw what happened in Berkeley. And there wasn't like conservatives that were fighting back. And it wasn't like they claim us to be like some type of security force. So something that they always say is like, oh, you guys we're doing security for Roger Stone. We never get hired to do security for anybody. We just went to go see Stone at his events, and we just happened to be there. We've never really provided security for anything. So if you ask what the Proud Boys are, in just like the simplest terms, we're a drinking club with a patriot problem is all we are. We don't take ourselves seriously. Actually, outside of media coverage, we're not a boring crew, but we're a boring story. Like, if you really knew who we were on the inside, it's a boring story. It's like, it's not newsworthy at all. So we've become these monsters. And last week, we became public enemy number one for Democrats because they refused to denounce Antifa, and they had a problem. They had a problem in the polls. They knew they weren't polling right because of that, and they needed to point a finger. They needed to find somebody. And Biden could have picked so many other groups. When they were talking about white supremacy, which is an ideology, or militias, which are actual groups, you could name those. But they decided he made a critical mistake in mentioning the Proud Boys when talking about militias. We're not a militia. We don't train white supremacy. We're not white supremacists. My chapter consists of 90% of the membership in my personal chapter are all Cubans. The minority is white.
when Gavin was like founding it.
Oh, before we let Moonlord sound in, we should mention a couple quick things. The first one being that, again, that's not how white supremacy works. Second, I actually agree. I think targeting the Proud Boys as the ultimate boogeymen of all these kind of groups is going to probably obfuscate some of the ones that are actually far more dangerous, armed, ready to strike. But that doesn't forgive the Proud Boys for what they do. It's still a collection of Western chauvinists who are enacting violence upon people. It's been very well documented, and it is growing in popularity. And of course, yes, helped and emboldened by the president.
He was joking, but he was saying like, I'm advocating.
Was
violence.
he joking?
I think
that's
so.
Not, I don't think that's
right. There's a big what if, but he says that he was joking and like saying, I want violence, go get him. And then like some people that identified as Proud Boys like attacked someone, and that's where the whole Proud Boys are a violent organization came from.
Mm-hmm. I'd ask you for the context of when we attacked somebody on that specific premise.
We just had the DC Riot Squad. These are the Daily Caller's reporters who go on the ground and go to riots, and they said they filmed in where was that? Was that Portland? Or was
it was in Portland that they saw Proud Boys? Yeah.
Yeah, and they said they saw a couple Proud Boys really just laying into a guy, like brutally beating him. And I said, "You sure?" Because I know Patriot Prayer is up in the. He said, "Nope, these are Proud Boys." And so these are the riot crew guys. These are the people who are on the ground covering it. They work for the Caller. They're not left. This Daily Caller is founded by Tucker Carlson. They said,
I'm sure they're not going to mention this, but what is really important to point out is that there's a lot of overlap between all these groups. So just because you are a Proud Boy, you could just be a Proud Boy, but you may also be a 3%er. And we know this because at the Proud Boy rallies, 3%ers give speeches. Kind of like, we got your backs, all right? We're on the same team.
Well, I haven't heard about that story in Portland, but yes, we have gotten into scuffles, many per se, and we're not afraid to defend ourselves.
But don't you, going back to the first point I was making when we opened the show,
yes,
don't you think there's a problem if you guys go to Portland and then it's an Antifa hotbed?
Mm-hmm.
I understand. You in the United States, you have a right to march where you want.
Are you just going to pivot from that? Where you were like, we're accusing you of a violent action. Is that true? His response is, we're not afraid to defend ourselves. Next question.
But you're jumping into the fray. Then Antifa's there all hot and agitated and crazy. And they come to these events, they attack you, and then you get into fights.
I think I agreed with you 100% when you did the video on our September 26th rally. I agreed with you 100%. It would be stupid and retarded for us to go into downtown Portland. Portland's a very big place. It would be stupid for us to go into downtown Portland because that would mean that we're actually looking for problems. If we went into, let's say, Chapman Park or Terry Shrunk Plaza, yes, I tell you that we're definitely looking for it. But that instance, we'll talk about this specific instance, but I took it to northern Portland. I put the event on purpose. I put it in the middle of this park that has 10-foot fences all around. It's a maze. It's impossible to get there. I communicated with PD. I communicated with FBI.
Obviously people have been pointing out, we've got a nice old InfoWars sticker here, but also the American supremacists. This is one of the problems with groups that base themselves around hyper-nationalism, because it's exactly what they are, right? They're Western chauvinists. They're proud of that. That's where the proud in the Proud Boys comes from. They're trying to uphold that idea. And that's why there is so much overlap with all these other groups. And again, if you were to study all this, if you're looking at the rise of proto-fascism in the United States, yes, it's important to point out that the 3%ers, all these kind of people who believe that they are going to uphold the values of Western democracy, is at the same time, if that is what they're trying to fight for, it's upholding the power of white supremacy.
We actually had a really good event, really safe event, and we were away from Antifa. And the only reason that Antifa went to, there was a park that was close by called Flamingo Park, I think, or Peninsula Park. The only reason that they went there is because I said in a private message that I leaked, I said that we're going to Peninsula Park. So the reason why they were there
to confront you.
They were there to confront me, but I knew that it was 3.5 miles away, and I knew they wouldn't have time from beginning of this event to the end of the event. You don't have to, and a lot of people under your feed said, don't interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. And I'm 100% for that.
But I wonder if Tim's going to ask how they assaulted journalists.
I decided to go over there to expose.
How they assaulted the press.
I decided to go over there.
I wonder if Tim's going to ask the questions that really matter.
To go over there. And I felt the brunt of it.
It's the White Claw guy from All Gas No Brakes.
And the reason why we're going over there, because the only reason why cops did their job that week, and they're going to do their job till the end of the year, was because we showed up. They banned CS gas. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
Because it was inhumane.
Tear gas, basically.
Tear gas. It was inhumane to use that.
Inhumane.
Against
war crimes.
But the moment that we say that we're going to show up, they lift the tear gas ban. And so tear gas is bad for humans, but it's not bad for conservatives. So they lifted that ban on Friday, and I wasn't afraid of it. I was like, okay, cool. You lifted the tear gas ban. You're not going to use it on us. We're going to be peaceful, and we're far away from whatever action. And as a matter of fact, don't quote me on this. I'll look up the statistics after this, but I think they had the most single arrests that weekend than they had in the previous 4 months. It was like 50 something arrests
of Antifa.
Antifa, yes. And I categorize that as a win.
So I know that Gavin stepped down from the Proud Boys, but that's your founding. This is a guy who's got numerous videos. Some of them are taken out of context. There was one video I think where he was talking about putting a choke chain on a dog, and it was taken out of context to make it seem like he was saying attack people, but he's definitely called for violence. So I mean, this is I believe.
Oh, we have it on 125.
The reason he stepped down was because he was trying to take
this is a very long
some
interview.
Proud Boy members who were facing prison time.
Yes, he stepped down. So to touch on the first subject, he stepped down because he needed to take heat off of this crooked system that was prosecuting our guys. So Gavin threw a comedy show at the Metropolitan Republican Club.
Comedy show.
That was on
That is
Saturday.
rich.
Friday,
That's the richest thing he said so far.
They spray painted the entire building. They put glue on the locks, and they put a threatening message on the front door. If you have Gavin here, you'll see what's going to happen to you. And they went through with it. So they went through with the night, and my guys were walking back to their car, and they were confronted by Antifa. They were followed and stalked by Antifa.
The Antifa?
They threw a glass bottle of urine at them, and then my guys fought back. Right? And the cops saw this whole thing. The cops saw this brawl. So the cops went, they broke up the brawl, and they asked my guys, hey, you guys need any medical attention? Are you guys okay? My guy's like, all right, we're cool. And when he asked Antifa, the guy said, F off pigs, was what he said to the cops. And nothing happened. That's it. But something was going to happen because it was a 2018 election, and Mobs Not Jobs, I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
Jobs Not Mobs was trending. And they needed a boogeyman. So they went ahead, and the governor of New York, Governor Cuomo, instructed the AG to press charges on the white supremacist Proud Boys. Didn't say anything about Antifa. AG prosecuted, they turned themselves in, and they knew they didn't do anything wrong. So what do you do when you know that you didn't do anything wrong? You take it to trial. And they took it to trial. And this is the first time, maybe I'm blind to the system, but this is the first time I ever see that they did not get to face their accuser. There was no victims. And it's not like the DA didn't present victims. The DA didn't even know who these guys were. The police didn't know. The police took the stand and was very unbiased and told the story. And guess who was the people that took the stand against the Proud Boys? Sandy Bauckham, which is a I don't even want to say journalist, but somebody that videotaped the whole thing. And
advocacy journalism.
Yeah, advocacy. So that's the people that would put on the stand. So they got, obviously, they got proven guilty by a jury of their peers, but by a crooked system that probably had already tainted it with all these tweets. I think it should have been done in private. The jury should have been sequestered, but that didn't happen. It was an unfair trial. I mean, how many fights happen in New York?
So the first thing I'll say is
4 years.
That's a weird whataboutism just to throw out of there like in the middle of all that. And by the way, how many street brawls are there in the streets of Chicago? In New York, have you played King of Fighters? Have you ever played it? There's a lot of fighting going on in King of Fighters. Street Fighter 2? Oh man, people fighting all over the place. Yeah. Streets of Rage? Have you seen Streets of Rage? Streets of Rage 2? God damn. There's full-on rocket launchers in that shit.
4 years in prison.
They're doing 4 years in prison for this.
Yeah. Now, that definitely seems excessive. They called it gang violence.
Yes.
So the first thing is, in reference to there being no victim, it's the state that is pressing charges as the people. The victim was the people. There's video footage of Proud Boys kicking a guy on the ground in the fetal position over and over again. Mm-hmm. So when the story first came out, the initial reaction we saw, because we saw surveillance footage, was Antifa throw a bottle, and then Proud Boys run up and start fighting, and then the Proud Boys won very quickly, but kept...
But what you didn't know, okay, what the lying press was not going to tell you, all right, that goddamn Lugan press, was that the bottle was filled with piss. It was piss, all right? They were throwing piss bottles at us. So because of that, totally justified. Totally justified. That's the part the lamestream media isn't going to tell you, sheeple, but wake the fuck up. Piss.
And that's where they say the charges actually stem from. But actually later on...
Wait, do you have a link to that? Apparently this dude has a shirt that says Pinochet did nothing wrong. Pinochet the dictator. No way, I have to see this. Please pull me up. Pinochet did nothing wrong.
More footage was released showing that before Antifa even threw the bottle, the Proud Boys were running at them from down the street, and then Antifa threw the bottle. So I actually covered this. After they stomped the guys on the ground, which is all on video, they kept live streaming, And one of the guys who was streaming was filming a couple Proud Boys laughing about how they were stomping a guy's head on the ground. And one guy was like jumping, like, yeah, I was smashing him. Then when I captured, I downloaded that stream. The Proud Boy, when he found out that people were, I think the guy streaming wasn't a Proud Boy, quickly deleted it. So there's video of, the charges stem from, they didn't just win, like, so here's the argument I was told when I covered this. People said, just because someone's gone down doesn't mean the fight is over. And so they wanted to make sure that Antifa didn't get back up because they were a threat. But the Proud Boys ran at Antifa and then continued to stomp them and then bragged about it on a live stream afterwards.
So I'm not going to tell you that I know exactly the entire story on the video side or anything, but when you're basically stalked.
Holy shit, it's real. It's real. No way. Pinochet did nothing wrong. How? Tens of thousands of people slaughtered, fucking reporters, journalists, fucking Pinochet. How is this real?
Your homes get bricks thrown through the window. Your tires get slashed. People are shot on the street. Like, when is enough? Like, when is it that we say enough? Protesters are protesters, right? They have a right. And I've always said this. I support Antifa's right to protest something that they don't see as right? But they're not coming to protest. They didn't come there with glass bottles of urine to have a nice time and to not invoke violence. And these guys are getting stalked on the way to their cars. Okay,
well,
so
I mean, hold on. Don't kink shame. They could have been there with the jars of urine just for a good time. And then things took a turn. You don't know. That could have been just the day they had planned. It was just going to be a good old day of piss.
I'm going to defend them to the T. I don't think that some people understand how hard it is. Like, just being a PB, right? Just being a normal person that thinks that there's something wrong, and you don't go to any rallies, and one day you decide, hey, I'm going to go to a comedy show.
Wait, they call themselves PBs? Is that true? PBs? I thought Proud Boys was bad. I was like, well, I mean, hey, but PBs. Yo, what up, my PBs? All right, let's fucking bust off Antifa. Here I'm a roaming gang of PBs. So, like the plural of groups of animals has different names. So if it's crows, it's a murder of crows. So what would be a group of PBs? P-bites or Pebites? Maybe that seems like what it would be. Leather daddies. I know that one was going around for a while. Peabodies. Peabodies is good. Piss babies. I think piss babies gets it. Piss babies wins. Yeah, it's piss babies.
And then there's this giant protest outside, and they arrested 3 Antifa members. I think they beat up like a journalist and stole his camera equipment.
It was actually an attendee. So I was going to get to that too. One of the attendees of the club was a block away from where that event we were talking about took place. Antifa beat and robbed him. And so there were 2 major incidents that occurred that night. One where...
I mean, I know I'm preaching to the converted here. Everyone already knows this, but it's ridiculous to keep saying that, like, we have arrested a member of Antifa. Yes, we've arrested 4 members of Antifa. Like... If you're someone who believes that the color blue is a good color, and then you associate yourself with other people who like that the color blue is a good color, and then you arrest someone who happens to think the color blue is a good color, yes, I think it's a beautiful color. You wouldn't say, well, we got one of them. We got one of the blue boys. Yeah, we got one of those blue balls. We caught a blue ball. Yeah, we got a blue ball now. We caught a member of the blue balls. It just happens to be they're associated by a thing they believe. In the case of Antifa, they're anti-fascist. That's what associates them with each other. There's not like group meetings. There's not a leader. It's not an organization. I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. Like, if someone tells it to you, talk about blue balls. Just talk about blue balls, all right?
The Proud Boys cooperated entirely with the police. Gave them their information, told them what was up. Antifa said F you and ran off.
Yep.
So my understanding is the DA said if Antifa was caught at the time and we knew who they were, they would face the same charges, but they got away. The Proud Boys get to go to jail.
Do you know what happened to those people that stole the book bag?
No, what happened? I don't.
The DA released him.
The guy who stole the book bag?
Yes.
Really?
They let them go. Sometimes bravery is stupid.
Okay, so I'm going to fast forward a bit because we're 2 hours and 26 minutes, and this is quite a bit to get through. I have noticed as of this point, he hasn't pushed back on anything. He hasn't held him to task on anything. He has like, he'll bring up something that happened. He'll actually respond with, well, if we're attacked, we push back. And then it's like, okay, next question. All right, well, that's all I need to hear. Yeah, vindicated yet again. I don't know why everyone gives you guys a bad time.
When Che Guevara and Castro were taking over the island from
great time to drop in. Oh, what a fantastic fast forward. Here we go. Giddy up.
the West Coast to the East Coast, there was this little farm just outside the outskirts of a city that was strategically important for the revolution. So they took over that farm, but they asked the family that was there, that they wanted to use the farm as a forward operating base in order to attack the city. Well, when that family declined, they got the two oldest males and they brought them out, they put them on their knees, they tied their hands behind their back, and they shot them in the back of the head. And that family shares a last name with me because they were my family, is the Tarrios. So I do know, and what they did on the island after that made my grandfather leave. They started erasing history, and the same thing that I saw, what they wanted to do in Charlottesville. Again, I wasn't going to go, if I didn't get a gig recording, I wouldn't have gone. I would have seen the mayhem.
How did that all wrap around? How did you, what? So, ergo, the tiki torches and the whole Jews will not replace us, blood and soil stuff can't possibly be misconstrued.
It was something that you needed to be there. The media spun it in a way that I've never seen them spin something like that before. Like before I got to my hotel room, that's it. It was chaos, and there was chaos. But they focused on. Yeah,
I mean, Chad's pointed it out. It's not a path I really want to go down, but it would appear that yes, you would be the son of a plantation owner in that story. And I'm not saying that this justifies the murder of his family, or if that story isn't even true, right? If that is actually like the story of his heritage, I'm not sure. But that would be that's assuming a lot of steps. When we don't have a lot of story to go on. Again, it all ties back to Charlottesville. You have to remember that part.
They didn't focus on people. They didn't focus on those small conversations. Actually, that was the first time I met Daryl Lamont Jenkins, and he was having actually a really good conversation with somebody.
Who's Daryl?
Daryl Lamont Jenkins,
I can't believe this is happening. Is he saying that Charlottesville was taken out of context? A person was murdered by a white nationalist.
Happy birthday, confetti.
The media focuses on the bad that's going on in the world, and people like to focus on, oh my god, the Civil War is coming. I don't believe that. I believe
oh shit, don't tell that to Tim Pool. Tim will not take that well. You're talking to one of the key architects.
Grocery store, talk to your neighbor. The country isn't as divided as the magic light box makes you think it is. So, but it doesn't mean that we could just sit
the magic light
and not
box
do anything. And I don't want to do that.
So what's your mission? What's your goal?
What's my goal personally?
Or with the Proud Boys? You said you don't want to sit back and do nothing.
Something a lot of people don't know is that most Proud Boys aren't activists. Most of them don't go to rallies. Most of them, the only activism I guess that they do is go out to vote. There's a small percentage of Proud Boys that are politically active, like myself. I've been active for 18 years. I was a canvasser. I was a campaign manager, door knocker. I've worked the polls. And it's always something that I've been passionate about. So our goals are simple. We think about the entire organization, and basically what we want to do is just make better men in general, better brothers, better husbands, better fathers.
So stop masturbating. Every single one of you, stop masturbating. You're not allowed to masturbate. All right. You can only ejaculate, I believe, if you're within 1 foot of a woman. I think it's something to that effect, which, of course, may sound a little bit sexual assaulty, a little bit bizarre, but make sure you preserve that sacred seed, and we want to make better men, better sexually frustrated men, just mountains of men, pent up, angry, horny, confused, sad, most likely. That's the future.
So let me ask you the very, in my opinion, I can't stand the question, but we'll do it anyway. Will you right now denounce white supremacy?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So
check
this out.
Yeah, for a second I was what? Come on, this is a freebie. Why does this keep happening? It's happening again.
That's it. That's what they're going to pick up right now. Okay, so
not that
unequivocally, and I've said this before. I denounce white supremacy, I denounce anti-Semitism. I denounce fascism. I denounce communism. I denounce Antifa. I denounce any other ism, right?
Wait.
That is prejudice against people because of the color of their skin, because of their religion, because of their cultural background, and any.
Being anti-fascist and you denounce fascist? It sounds conflicting. There's a lot of things going on here. What? I don't understand it. You were just asked, can you condemn white supremacy? The answer is yes. Full stop. That's it. Yes. It's one word. It's easy. It's not yes, but I also denounce fascism and anti-fascism. Come on, all extremes are on the same team, right?
Thing that has to do with authoritarian government.
Yeah, that's radical centrism, all right.
And I hate having to repeat that so many times. And I know that there's a lot of viewers here that don't know who the Proud Boys is, but I have to constantly repeat that. I don't like labeling myself, and this is the Afro-Cuban label is something that the media uses all the time. And I hate putting people in boxes. People shouldn't be put in boxes. Like people say, oh, well, how could they be racist? And here, look, I'll be clear about that. How could they be racist if they have a brown chairman? Well, you could be any color and be racist, but I am not racist. The organization is not racist. We don't care.
I just really need to point out how stupid our current media ecosystem is that I have to ask a black man if he's a white supremacist.
Yeah.
So I recognize the absurdity of the question for all the people in the audience. I think it's stupid, but that's like, I think people who are like regular moderate Americans and conservatives roll their eyes when they constantly hear questions like that. But you have this institution, these news institutions that genuinely don't know or don't care. And so you have to sort of have a question like that, in a sense, to make sure it's absolutely and positively clear. As absurd and stupid as it is.
It's also kind of incomplete because it's like, do you denounce racial supremacy?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Together, period.
And that should be the argument, not white, not black supremacy, not just Native American supremacy, not Jewish supremacy. It's all bad stuff. Being racial.
All lives matter. He's doing all lives matter right now. Can't we just condemn it all? Like, I would like to condemn like black nationalism, all right, indigenous nationalism, all of them. Like, can we not say they're all bad? Are they not all bad?
Well, so let me ask you about that shirt.
Okay.
American supremacist. I have here
all moons matter. I agree. All moons matter.
Dictionary definition of fascism. They say a political philosophy, movement, or regime, such as that of the fascisti, that exalts nation and often race above the individual, and that stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of opposition. So I think you've already explained this. I think the only thing out of that is that you
like I just, what are we to do? What are we to do? Like, how are you going to push back now against all the people, the 60,000 live viewers who are watching that are going to come out and like, oh, that's what fascism is? That's all there is to it? Dictionary.com? Noun?
Let me just ask you, are you for a centralized autocratic government?
Absolutely not.
Are you in favor of putting the race above the individual?
No.
Are you in favor of a dictatorial leader?
Nope.
Social or economic regimentation?
Nope.
Or forcible suppression of your opposition?
Nope.
Do you believe that Antifa should be allowed to go out and protest so long as they don't get violent?
Yes.
Do you think that the nation should be exalted above the individual?
No.
Well, then.
I think the individual, the reason why I'm an American supremacist is because
Tim Pool is whitewashing the Proud Boys in real time. Like, he's doing it right now on his show. Like, it's not only is there no pushback, is this like a controversial interview to have? He's whitewashing them. He's doing it in front of a live audience of like 50 to 60,000 people.
the founding of this country is about the individual. It's about your individual liberties. The founding fathers didn't envision this powerhouse. This isn't what they wanted per se. It's beautiful that we have it. But they just wanted to build a nation that was free, that you have your plot of land, you could practice your religion, you could have your family, you can raise them however you want.
Oh, absolutely. That's the incredible danger of this. Like, I mean, it's one thing to have done this and then to even acknowledge, like, even he has to say, like, hey, I understand this is going to be controversial. I understand some people said I shouldn't do this. People in the New York Times and other, prestigious journals have said that this is probably a negative thing to do, especially with how controversial you are. But I just want to learn what you're all about. Okay. And now here comes our next little segment. This will be fun. This is going to be neat. I'm now going to pull up the dictionary.com definition of fascism. I'm going to run down a handful of the list. You can tell me if this defines you. And then afterwards, everyone will know the truth.
Fascists will lie about what they believe. They'll tell whoever they're speaking to whatever story makes them appear most sympathetic and reasonable. Often, they'll claim to be tolerant and nonviolent, lovey-dovey types, but their actions will often contradict this, which is why you can't just listen to what they say, you have to look at what they do. So with those disclaimers out of the way, let's move on to today's subject, the Proud Boys.
Wow. Prescient.
Coming from, he says law and order in these cities that don't have law and order. Too much law and order is bad. Legislators get elected by proposing new legislation, new laws. They don't get elected by deregulating. And I think that's a major problem that we have, and we're so far from that. Free speech. Okay, yeah, the government isn't stopping us from speaking our words, but now the corporations are.
So let me. I'm going to pull up the Anti-Defamation League, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to read what they say about your organization. In fact, they use a photo of you. Cool. In the Proud Boys. It says, they don't say your name, I don't think. I'm going to read what they say about you and some of their...
Holy shit. He's trying to debunk the ADL's statement on the Proud Boys with the leader of the Proud Boys. This is surreal.
Is it a good photo?
It's a great photo.
Yeah, you look very serious. Yeah. You're shaven, but you have the goatee going on. They say your ideology is primarily alt-light, misogynistic, Islamophobic, transphobic, and anti-immigration. Some members espouse white supremacist and anti-Semitic ideologies and or engage with white supremacist groups. So the first question is, you don't allow women into your organization.
We do not. We have an organization that's for women.
What's that organization?
Proud Boys Girls.
All right.
Yep.
So they say you're misogynists. I don't have right. I think we can get into what they actually write down. Actually, let me do this because they don't actually present anything in that generalization. But here's the background. The Proud Boys represent an unconventional strain of American right-wing extremism. While the group can be described as violent, nationalistic, Islamophobic, transphobic, and misogynistic, its members represent a range of ethnic backgrounds, and its leaders vehemently protest any allegations of racism. Their founder, Gavin McInnes, went so far as to file a defamation lawsuit against the Southern Poverty Law Center when the SPLC designated the Proud Boys a hate group. So they do point out you have various backgrounds, but they call you violent, nationalistic, Islamophobic, transphobic, and misogynistic. So I don't know if you want to have a direct response to what they're saying there, and then I'll ask you some questions.
Okay, so there's a lot of word there to dispel, but again, it's like a repetitive answer. We don't care what somebody's race is. We don't care what somebody's religion is. Are our jokes crude? Yes. We joke about all kinds of things. We joke about races. I make fun of myself. I make fun of the white dudes. I always call the like I said earlier, like in my chapter, white is a minority. So, but there's not like this level of seriousness with us. And I said, we don't.
Oh, he stopped himself there. I wonder what the joke was. You can see it too. You see those like gears turning where he's just like, yeah, no, I have some racist jokes. I like to say, well, there's white people in the organization. Anyways, we have jokes. Yeah, we got jokes, y'all. But he never mentioned gender, by the way. When he was like, yeah, well, we don't judge people based on whatever race they are. Never brought up gender.
Where we're constantly on, I feel like we've been put on like this defense. I just came from AmpFest in Miami, and like all the speakers are talking about how we should be on, how the left is doing this, how the left is encroaching on things, and how we're not racist. I'm tired of that. Like in 2016, we were funny, we were on the offense, and I feel like right now getting labeled everything by the ADL, by the SPLC, which is a money mill. They started out, I'm not even going to say I believe this wholeheartedly, but they were.
So by the way, he's just completely skirting over like those direct accusations and is now going to the conspiracy theories that these are actually like deep money pocket organizations, which by the way, there's a lot of criticisms I can levy against the ADL, but this is very curious. And when someone asks you a direct question, can you address these issues? And again, this is Tim Pool doing the whole whitewashing of the Proud Boys in real time.
Started out with good intention to do away with the Ku Klux Klan, right? And they did. And as the world got more and more peaceful, there was less and less boogeymen and less enemies to grift off of. So what do they have to do? They have to create these enemies, right? We're not Islamophobic. We're not homophobic. We're not transphobic. We're not any of that. They were.
Wait, is he talking about the SPLC? Is that happening? that they have to invent boogeymen? Because after the KKK, racism was over. That's it. It's not like the KKK still exists today. But again, well, once they were gone, there's no other racist organizations. None. They're the only ones. And that was the end of racism. It was great.
They were trying to, I guess, make fun of us. I don't know if you saw that, like the pictures. They put Proud Boys hashtag and they had like two dudes.
Oh,
kissing.
right. Yes, I did.
Right.
I called that out as a really good example of the left not understanding what the right is actually talking about or doing.
Yeah, and I put up a picture of like Gavin making out with Milo. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes.
And I put that and I put hashtag Proud Boys. And they thought, oh, Proud Boys are furious about it.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have not infiltrated our chats, because if they would, they'd be like, oh, well, this is play school stuff.
This is the problem we have with the media, and your Joe Biden made you the chosen boogeyman of these groups,
and I thank him for it.
And they do, the media?
No, I thank Joe Biden.
Oh, why do you thank him?
Because
because after that, our recruitment went way up. We changed our logos. It says stand up, stand by. No, sorry. Yeah. Stand back and stand by is like the new Proud Boys logo. It's awesome. It's fantastic. Yeah. No, thank you.
Degree, you still have to give up masturbating, but you have to get a tattoo. And then 4th degree, you get arrested or in a serious violent fight for the cause.
Really?
Yes.
You get arrested in a serious violent fight, so you're promoting
or it's
violence?
some sort of major altercation.
You should erase that part.
Well, we don't encourage it, but if you're defending, like at the Berkeley thing with Milo, my guys, just 14 of them just walked into a mob of 200 people
just to get their stripes,
and said, "I thought you guys were tough." No, they were doing it just for fun.
When you just kick someone's ass, they don't just take it. Like, they come back with a bat or a gun or their brother, or you start a fight, and they want to get it back, and it goes back and forth, and all
No fan of Joe Rogan. Not a fan. But this is what you might call some pushback. The exact opposite of what Tim Pool is doing right now, who's basically just giving him an open platform. Not only is he like, can you please espouse your beliefs, and can I downplay how violent and extreme your organization is, while at the same time dispelling all of the popular myths. All of the popular myths in real time.
You have conflict, and then someone responds to that conflict, and it escalates. You create this horrific environment where it's almost impossible to avoid violence.
Well, so I'm done avoiding it. I'm taking the low road. I'm punching them in the face.
So that's what you're doing with this outfit?
Yes.
The end of the deplorable here. You can see people coming out here with Gavin McInnes, and I heard you had a scuffle earlier tonight.
Who's that in the background, y'all? Who's standing right there? Does anyone recognize this vampire? This out of work vampire who's now like, what's a new organization I can attach myself to? Yes, that's right. Richard Spencer. Nazi. Yeah, white nationalist. Richard Spencer. The very same.
Yes. I attacked a couple guys.
Yeah,
they were there
he's a Nazbol now. That's kind of funny. Richard Spencer was like, how can I kind of change my ideology? Just a slight. How can I rebrand a little bit here? Is there another form? Is there, National Bolshevism? What's this? I can be a lefty, but a Nazi at the same time. I can be a Nazi with lefty aesthetics, because basically I'm still just a Nazi. Nazbols are just Nazis, but they get to wear cool little new symbols, Instead of the swastika, I can have the hammer and the sickle. Well, that's neat. No, I'm a National Bolshevik now.
There's this assumption that if you antagonize people, they're just going to take...
Spencer King. Spencer King.
And I think those days are done now. It's post-Obama. I could see him on his phone saying, yeah, we're trying to disrupt this door, and they didn't, we got pushed over to that door, and he's right next to me. And he's speaking with this Obama audacity, where he can just talk about fucking up my night, and I'm going to go, oh, well. So I punched his phone out of his hand, and then I grabbed it and I licked his face, and I bit off his glasses and I spat them out. And then we got to the door. His thing was, I'm just going to slow them down and legally, get them assaulted.
Like, what the fuck did he just say? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Talk about accelerationism. I grabbed the phone out of his hand, threw it to the ground. I spit in his face, licked his face, grabbed the glasses off his face with my mouth. Like, what is this? Is this his like berserker rage? Is he Wolverine for a day?
So I punched him in the face and I ripped his mask off. And then I punched him again as he was going, I think he was saying Gavin. And my name, the thing about an A is it's a very big vowel. So you have a ah. And my fist went into his mouth. Like I felt his tongue. And then we kept walking and the cops handled it very well. Great work with the local police.
Proud Boys. Tell me more, Tim Pool.
I denounced that, was what the president said. And instantly I started getting calls from the media, and people were asking, oh, how do you feel about the president denouncing you? And as a matter of fact, like I sat back and I was objective about it, and I'm like, a lot of people wanted me to say, F the president, forget it, he threw us under the bus or whatever. The fact is that the Proud Boys have never needed the president to either avow or disavow or denounce us. We've always been who we are, unapologetic about it. And I think that should not change my standing. It shouldn't change like how I feel about somebody or his policy. There's a lot of times that I disagreed with the president. I disagreed with the president on bump stocks. I disagreed with the president with the Dakota Access Pipeline. I disagreed with the president on numerous things. And just because I disagree with him here, because I don't think he has all the facts or had all the facts when he said that, when he said he denounced us, it doesn't change my support for not only the president, but my values as a whole.
It's not a huge gathering of Antifa on the other side, but they are there. I don't know if things are going to get violent. There's a heavy police presence, so we should be fine, God willing. There's the liberals.
God damn it, he's way too pretty to be a Proud Boy. No.
There they are. The idiots. There's the idiots. There they are.
Why don't you have more?
You're outnumbered.
Go home to your cats.
I don't know if they're going to do anything, guys. I want to go over there and instigate it, but the cops are here, so we'll be nice. I want to fuck him up real bad. Cops are here, so we'll be nice.
Why do you hide your face? Why hide the face?
No, you don't want to. All right. They don't want to ask. They don't want to ask any questions. What do you want?
Tomorrow I'll knock you out.
I was just recording. All I was doing was recording. Yes, sir. Officer, all I did was record.
Officer, please, I didn't want to fight him. He got like this. I didn't know what he was gonna do.
I was recording, sir, and then he came in my face. He's like, "But what's your problem?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm just recording." Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Did y'all catch that? Yeah. The part that they probably will cut out, the part that they like to talk about. We don't instigate violence, right? Did you see the video clip? That dude just came at me, and then he tried to hit me. Come on.
Oh, yo!
Oh my god. Oh my god. No.
Proud Boys. Check it out. Not violent.
The far left group, Antifa, strikes again.
Interesting. Well, yeah, nothing to see here. Go on, Tim. More normalization, please.
So if you've got these news outlets writing fake news, garbage, and straight up saying, do not do an interview with the Proud Boys, then what is the record of history going to be if they specifically avoid figuring out who people are, what they believe, and what they're doing?
they're writing history. They're basically right in front of our eyes. They're writing history. And it makes me question a lot of things in the past, but that doesn't mean that we allow them to win. It doesn't mean that we should let them do it. Every retraction, again, and like you, I've sent the Daily Beast many retractions, and they just ignore my emails. But it's fine with me. I don't care. I don't need the Daily Beast. I don't need Facebook. I don't need Instagram. I don't need any of that to I'm an activist. Well, so I don't need none of that to organize. Maybe a lot of people do. I don't.
But what's happening now is they're banning people from banks like you and from other technological services. There's conversations about how we're going to be moving towards, in the future, a carless society where individuals don't own cars. Cars are self-driving, and you have an app where you will say, here's where I need to go, and the car will come to your house, and you'll get in, and it'll drive itself.
Don't we have that already?
We have a service where a driver can come and pick you up. Yeah, so if you get banned from all of these services, and they're all private.
The fuck is happening right now?
You're locked out, as it were.
Human rights, transportation, finance.
Access to the internet and the use of its services. If you're banned from, a bunch of these services, and they eventually become the only way to do things, then you're out. They've cut you out of society. This is why I've always been pro-regulation. I'm in favor of the government regulating these big corporations. It's always been the liberals who have been in favor of regulating corporations when they start infringing upon the commons.
Until Daddy Trump came in.
Now they're cheering for it.
Yep.
The fuck are they talking about? What is this nightmare fuel? I think we missed it, but apparently they talked about Vic Berger.
Make him seem like this demon. Right?
Yeah, so I understand a lot of those were pulled out of context. I've actually gone through a list of where the clips came from.
Oh, here, perfect example. We're like, all right, you know what we're gonna do after getting doxxed so much? We're gonna find their addresses, and we're gonna let's do it. And we go like that, and we pull up all the information, all their addresses, and we sit there together, and we're like, all right, what are we gonna do with this? And we're like, wait. What are we gonna do with that?
You can't do anything.
Like are we gonna what?
Proud Boys showed up to Vic Berger's house. If anyone doesn't know that, yeah, that happened.
We're gonna show up at the house.
Like, that happened though, didn't it?
Do we like knock? Yeah, one of our guys got pissed off at
Vic Berger.
At Vic Berger and knocked on his house and asked him to not do that anymore. It was like, hey, Vic, can you stop doing this, please? And Vic blew his lid, but there's nothing that we can do. You'll never find us go to a house and
he definitely
break a window.
Should not have gone to Vic Berger's house.
He shouldn't have gone to Vic Berger's house, but regardless, the thing is, yes, but if you're knocking on somebody's door, it's very old school to do that, but he is an older gentleman, but you knock on somebody's door and you ask for sugar, you're like, hey, can you turn the music down? And that's basically what the conversation was.
Wow. Yeah, but you did. Vic Berger is an amazing, talented individual. If you haven't seen his stuff, you should really check out his channel. He's awesome. Big friend of the show. Hey, we want to mutual aid you to get some eyeballs on your work. So if you have a leftist YouTube channel or Twitch stream or something you want us to advertise, just send us a 20 to 30 second ad using the forums at weareserfs.com. We'll do our best to help you out. And please submit once per channel.
To our God, I'm Rad. We pray at your altar of greatness. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, you are the light that guides our path. To our lords, Jimothy K. Meeble Beeps Jr., Ryan Lubin, Trevor R., Jeffrey Lamb, Poppy Nelson, Stephen, Hans Josephine, Nine Tails Cosmic Fox, we bow meekly for your pleasure. To our Knights of the Round Table, J. Fraser Cartwright, Thomas Brereton, Ali Menthal, Jimmy Bignuts, Good Poon Hates Cops, That's Solid Poon Then, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringoito, Goofus Lankius, Zach Christensen, Nicholas Marks, Yoppy, Josh Mickelson, Dr. Zayas, Dylan Byth, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We salute you.